I told y'all that year to return stuff that they was doing, that's all for money purposes.
Hey y'all, I am Michelle Mazelleغ. Welcome back to my channel. The topic in today's video is Ghana 101. Yes, you heard me. You saw the title correctly. Going back to the basics. For those African Diasporans, African Americans who are thinking about making the move to Ghana or traveling to Ghana and just having a tough time, this video is for you, covering the basics of it all. So before I start this whole thing, I do want to say that if you follow my channel, you know that I do not currently live in Ghana. So I don't want anybody in my comment section talking about you don't even live there. I'm aware of that. However, I have been to Ghana 5 times. I have stayed there for, a long period of time. I'm not talking about going to Ghana and staying there for 10 days or staying there for 14 days or whatever. We're talking about a 2-month time period that I'm spending every time I go. I have been married to my husband, like I've said many times. I don't want to have to keep saying it, but almost 19 years coming this June. So I've been around Ghanaians enough to know what is going to help you to be able to adjust to Ghana, to be able to be a little bit more comfortable around Ghanaians. What does that feel like? What do you have to do? I'm experienced enough to let you know this is the dealio. Okay, I'm African American, so I'm not even going to have that discussion with anybody who has something to say. So with that being said, the first thing I'm going to talk about on this Ghana 101 basic video about the basics is the year of 2019 return. Okay, this is an argument that some African diasporans and African Americans always want to throw out there to Ghanaians and to Ghana, that the year 2019 was an initiative that was first put in place in 2018. So it was first started, coming into fruition in 2018, and it actually became an initiative program in 2019. Now, the program really was to encourage African diasporans and African Americans to come to Ghana to increase the tourism there, and mainly to be able to experience Ghana and the culture, the Ghanaians, and not only to travel there to increase the economy as far as tourism, but to also ultimately move there and invest there and help in the development of Ghana as well. Now, the reason why it was 2019 that the initiative started to take place, or where it really started to okay, this is what we're doing, is because it marked the 400 years of the enslaved Africans stepping foot into Jamestown, Virginia. And so the entire year of 2019, there were different events that took place, different festivals that took place, different programs that took place, all in commemoration of 2019. And in the process of that, the Ghanaian president offered pretty much like an olive branch between the African diasporans and African Americans to, hey, come to Ghana, come and explore, come to see how beautiful the country is, develop the country, and help develop the country. And so that's where it was. It's not just for African Americans. It was for any African diasporan that wanted to come there. So any Black person in the world who wanted to connect to the African continent, the African lineage, they also were able to come as well. So it was just not for African Americans. Nowhere in that 2019 initiative did it give any programs that was going to be attached to that. It said that you are able to come home. If that's what you want to call your home, you can come there. It didn't say how you was going to make it your home. It didn't say what was going to happen when you got there. It didn't say where you were going to be working. So when I hear some African diasporans or African Americans saying that they picked up all of their things and they moved there, then that was a risk that you were really willing to take, especially if you've never been there, you didn't know that much about it. It was just a risk that you were willing to take. And so you was hoping that when you got there, the risk was worth it. And so either it was or either it wasn't. But the year 19 return did not give any initiatives. Apart from that, you had Black celebrities that were heavily involved in the year 2019 return. All of them were going over there. And so I think a lot of African diasporans and African Americans saw these Black celebrities going, and when they went, they were showing the good of what was going on. And so they wanted to jump on that bandwagon. They wanted to be a part of that because it looked like something that they wanted to be a part of. But I think that some of them didn't realize, or maybe they did and just didn't want to pay attention, that these Black celebrities had money. And so they were able to pretty much do whatever the heck they wanted to do in Ghana because they had the money to back up whatever they were doing. So if they wanted to build a mansion, they had money to do that. If they wanted to invest in a business, they had money to do that. If they wanted to do anything else, they had money to do that. So it was really not an issue for them to get up and go and explore Ghana or tour Ghana or officially move there, like some of them ended up doing, getting citizenship. Like Stevie Wonder just got a citizenship in Ghana. It was not an issue for them because they had money to make it so. So I think a lot of African diasporans and a lot of African Americans saw that, wanted to jump on that, and didn't know what came along with that. Now, that was a 2019 return. Nothing was given out. Nothing was said that this is what you're going to get. You're going to get A, B, and C in this program. Come on over here and get the programs. No. Now, you can find this information on visitghana.com, which I'm showing you right now. This is all the information that I'm sharing with you all. Now, there is a link, as you can see, that is called the Beyond the Return. Now, Beyond the Return is from 2020 to 2030. It's a 10-year plan. All right. And within that 10-year plan, you have these 7 pillars that's supposed to take place in this 10-year plan. If you scroll down at the bottom of that, you will see what the 7 pillars are. And it's almost like a level. Remember that when you are putting a plan as big as this is, okay, it's not something that's going to be taking a year's time. In 2019, you're going to have programs. You're going to be able to get citizenship without a whole lot of, red tape. You're going to be able to get visa. You're going to be able to have all this extra, programs or initiatives. None of that is going to happen in a year's time. It's impossible to do that. So the Beyond the Return is a 10-year plan. This is what's going to happen as the 10 years are going. It's 2024, so it's only 5 years since the 2019 year return and 4 years since the plan got started. That's not a long time. So in the pillars, and I'm just going to read, just not all of it, but I do want to read this particular pillar here that is talking about the Ghana visa and citizenship. So that is something that Ghana is aware is not happening right now. So that is a plan that could happen in the future. It's something that's been looked at, something that obviously it's going to have to take time to process and see how that works. So it is something that Ghana already knows. They don't have that in place. So it is part of one of the pillars and part of within this 10-year plan. But the basics up here on top, which is where you probably are right now, is loving and experiencing Ghana. Okay. Getting to know the culture, getting to know the people, going there to visit. That's the first level. Like all that other stuff is down the line. Like Ghana ain't ready for that yet. Okay. And if you're African diasporan and you want these things to, come into fruition, then you should be trying to reach out to people to see, what board do you have to be on? What council do you have to be on? What do you have to do in order to get this thing rolling? So there is a council that probably handles some of these things with African diasporans. So it's not like it's not out there. So if it's something that you want to be done, then as an African diasporan, you should be asking around to see how can you become a part of this decision making so these things can take place. All right, so that's the whole year 2019. Beyond the return as well, things haven't happened yet. It's going to take time. So if you are somebody who is not ready, or somebody who's not patient enough to wait for these plans to take place, then you don't need to be moving to Ghana. It's not ready yet. You need to wait until it's fully up and operational, to the point where all you got to do is just slide in and get right on, get on in. But if you're not going to wait and go through that, go through that adjustment, wait till those processes get up and running. If you're not wanting to wait for that, then you don't need to pick up and move. You just need to stay where you are. Just travel to Ghana, visit Ghana, going back home. And then when it gets to where you say, okay, I think things are now in place, then that's when you can pick up and move. So that's the whole year 2019, the whole beyond the return. Those are two different things. The year 2019 was only really a year-long type of situation. The beyond return is a 10-year initiative plan, and in that 10-year time, these programs and these different initiatives are going to try to take place. So there you go on that. Now, the next thing that I hear African diasporans, African Americans saying that is an issue in Ghana is being taken advantage of. In every country, there is what we call a way of life, the way of doing things. And in Ghana, one of the main things that African diasporans seem to have a problem with is that there's not a set price on things. So when they go to the marketplace and they want to buy something, it could be 10 cities one day, another day it could be 20 cities. Let me tell you how this operates. Ghana is what's called is a haggling community. It's a haggling country, which means that the business is all about haggling, and that depends on where you are. Because if you go to certain marketplaces, and I know like if you go to the marketplace in Medina, there is so many different sellers that you can get food from. Let's not even talk about the Mazelleغ market. Now, again, I've only been in that area, but any marketplace in Ghana is a big marketplace. I can't remember where we were when we were passing through, going to my husband's village, and we passed through a marketplace. The marketplace is always big, but there's a lot of different types of sellers that you can go and get your food from. So let's say you go to one seller and they're selling tomatoes for 10 cities or whatever, and you don't want to pay 10 cities for that. Go find another seller that's selling tomatoes. Maybe they're selling it a little cheaper. Or you can try to haggle the prices. Hey, can we bring it down to 5? Can we bring it down to 7? I mean, you can haggle the prices if you don't want to pay. Now, a lot of times in the marketplace, I don't see a lot of haggling going on, and I'm just going to be honest. When I've gone to Medina market or Mazelleغ market and they tell you that tomatoes is this price, a lot of times I don't see people haggling in the marketplaces. It's a lot of times in the cultural center that I see a lot of haggling going on, because a lot of times in the cultural center, depending on where you are, those people are getting a cut finance, but a lot of them don't own those particular things. You know what I'm saying? But in the marketplace, those people that are upselling, they own that shop. That's where they get their income from. So I don't really see it that much in the marketplace. But when you go to the cultural center, yeah, they gonna charge you more, okay, than a local. You know why? Because they know that the locals might not can afford 100 cities. Being that they are local, they know what their own can afford. So if I know that, why would I charge them more when I already know they can't afford it? Versus somebody who is coming from outside. Of course they know you can afford it, especially if you coming from the States. I mean, the dollar is pretty high in Ghana. And best believe the Ghanaians already know that. So if they know they're selling something to you for 100 cities, they know it's only $10 in the States. In their heads, they thinking, well, why can't you afford $10? Why is that a big thing? If it's 200 cities, you can't afford $20. That's what's going on in their head. They already know the currency exchange rate in these different countries where you're coming from. And to them, they're like, well, in your currency, that's not a lot of money. In our currency, it is. So, what's the problem? Why can't I charge you $200 200 cities, if I know that you got $20 in your pocket. I mean, that's not a lot of money in your currency. So that's how they're seeing that. However, when you go to the cultural center, you go to all these places where they're charging 100 cities for a dress or whatever, and you don't want to pay that, then you can haggle the price. I'm sorry, I'm not paying 100 cities for that. Now I'll give you 70 or I'll give you 50. And it's a bartering situation. And a lot of times they will barter, and you can bring that down to what you want, what you want to pay for, and what y'all can equally decide. This is what y'all want, this is what y'all want. This is what they're going to accept. This is what you're going to give so that you can buy it and they can sell it. And then you have some, they not budging because they said you should be able to afford what I'm offering you. And if that's the case, what do? You keep on moving. I've been to the cultural center and I try to haggle a price, and they're just like, no, I'm not going down. I'm like, okay, well, it's fine with me. And I move on to another shop who's selling something similar to what I needed from the other shop and buy from them. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Now, I am going to say this. Now, I might get some flack from the African Diasporans and African Americans, but I'm going to say it anyway. People that don't look like us, they ain't haggling. I'm just saying. They ain't haggling, okay? They tell them it's 100 cities. They paying 100 cities. They're not trying to do all that because they know how much the currency is. It's $10. That's what people that don't look like us are saying. It's $10. Here you go. They're not doing all of that. And so they go ahead and pay the money and move on. So, I mean, it is what it is on that. Either you know how to haggle or you don't. And if you don't, it can be very intimidating because they're trying to make some income. They're trying to make $1. They're trying to get the business in there. So if you don't know how to haggle, you don't know how to do that, then you need to go with somebody who does. A lot of times when we go to these marketplaces, if my husband's not with me, I'm going with somebody who knows what they're doing. I've gotten a little better with the whole haggling process, but it's still intimidating to me. So I know it can be intimidating to somebody who's not used to that. Now, if you don't want the prices to be fluctuating and going up and down, and you want it to be Americanized, you want the prices to always be set, you want to go and buy your tomatoes for 10 cities on Monday, and when you go on Tuesday, it's still 10 cities, then you need to take yourself to the places like Malcolm, where they sell food, they ShopRite. You can go to the Palace Mall. You can go to those types of stores, and there's another store in Accra that I can't think of the name right now. You can go to those stores, and there's no haggling there. Those are the stores for foreigners, for those who don't want to go in the marketplaces to haggle. They want the prices to be set. They don't want it to be going up and down. Then you go to the stores. That's for you. They made those stores specifically for you, so that when you go in there on Monday and there's a tomato that's 10 cities, and you go there on Saturday, those tomatoes would still be 10 cities. If you want to go and buy a shirt, it's 5 cities on Monday. You go back in on Friday for that shirt, it's still 5 cities. So if that's the type of shopping that you want to do, you don't want the prices to be fluctuating up and down, then you go in the stores. You go in the stores. Are you going to pay more? Of course you are. Of course you are. You're going to pay the foreign money. That's what you're going to pay for. You're not going to pay what the locals are paying. You're going to pay the foreign money. So you make your choice. Either you're going to shop out there and haggle, like the locals do, or you're going to go and go to the stores, and you're going to get the set prices that you want. There's not going to be a fluctuating situation, and then there you go. You'll be happy. So I mean, it's not like there's not an alternative. If you don't want to have the prices fluctuating up and down, you are able to go to a store and get whatever you need. I mean, there's stores that you can go and get food, you can get clothes, you can get furniture, you can get appliances. I mean, yeah, they're out there. But if you don't want to spend the money or don't have that type of money, then you're going to have to go where the locals are shopping, and you're going to have to haggle the prices. And if you don't know how to do that, well, then get with a Ghanaian that does. I mean, I don't know what to tell you on that. So the next thing is being called a foreigner. You are a foreigner unless you don't act like one. Okay? If you don't want to be called a foreigner, don't act like a foreigner. And then they won't treat you like one. I don't know what else to say on that one. Okay. There are some African diasporans and African Americans that are going to Ghana still acting like Americans, and then you want them to treat you like a Ghanaian. So you want to get off the plane and think that you're automatically going to be treated like a Ghanaian, or treated like that you're not a foreigner, and you're not acting anything like a Ghanaian would act. Trust me, if you don't want to be treated like a foreigner, don't act like one. They won't treat you like a foreigner. They won't. They won't call you a foreigner. They won't treat you like one. But if you have the behavior as a foreigner, then that's how they're going to look at you, and that's how they're going to treat you. Let me tell you this right here. My first visit to Ghana was in 2003. Okay? I went there not knowing anything about anything. I had on shorts and things like that. And let me tell you, I was treated like a foreigner. Somebody that had visited there for the first time, as I should have been. Because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know the culture. I didn't know the people. Going back every time, I've learned. This is how I want to be able to move in Ghana. I don't want to be seen as a foreigner, even though a lot of times I'm still going to be seen as one per se because of my facial features, my skin tone, and things like that. But it's not all the time. And the times that it's happened, it's usually a young person, like a kid, or a very older person. So, I mean, it's really far and in between, and it's not that big of a deal. But I do find that I'm treated less like a foreigner when I don't dress like one and when I don't act like one. And so what do? I don't go out in public looking like a foreigner. One of the ways of in Ghana, when you're talking about women, dressing a certain way, acting a certain way, because they're going to be able to pinpoint you as a foreigner just by the way you act and dress. And if you don't want to be treated like one or called one, then you need to be looking at how people are doing and assimilate. And let's face it, there's some African diasporans and some African Americans that don't want to assimilate to the Ghanaian ways, particularly if you're a woman, because that means that you're going to have to what? You're going to have to not be out there screaming and hollering and yelling and doing all that stuff to your men and whatever. You're not doing that in Ghana. You're moving quietly, strongly but quietly. You're not being, causing a spectacle to yourself unless there's a reason for that. So, if you don't want to be treated like a foreigner, then you have to then do as the Ghanaians do. You have to act like the Ghanaians act. You have to be like the Ghanaians are. Then they won't see you as a foreigner. They will see you as somebody who literally is trying to be a part of their culture, know their culture, and you're assimilating to the culture. And they will be accepting to you. They're not going to treat you like a foreigner. Now, I'm going to share with you all this right here. Okay, a couple of Americans who have assimilated into the Ghanaian culture. Now, this particular man is an American man. He is now the chief of tourism, I think, of Elmina Castle. And I just want you to take a look now. Now, this is the ceremony of him getting installed. As you can see, the Ghanaians are giving him the same royal treatment as they would have given any chief that was being installed. So they're not slacking off. Oh, well, he's American. He's just, this is just something for him to do. No, he's taking on the role. He's taking on the attitude. He's taking on the culture. He has taken, he is being a part of the people, and this is what they do for him. He's getting the same ceremony, the same respect as if a chief was being installed that was actually a Ghanaian. So don't sit there and tell me that they're going to treat you like a foreigner. Yeah, if you acting like one, that's exactly how they're going to treat you. This is another man from Brooklyn. He got a Ghana citizenship. I think he denounced his American citizenship, I think. Full-blown Ghanaian. He does not even label himself or identify himself as American at all. Look where he's at. He's also a chief in Ghana. Okay? Living there with his wife and children. Okay? Now, this is a woman who was the chief as well. Got all the regalia on. So, you know, for those African diasporans and African Americans talking about they treat you like a foreigner, they see you like a foreigner, that's because you're acting like one. As soon as you know, forgo, as they say, those childish ways, those American ways, or wherever you're from, and you start to act like a Ghanaian, they gonna treat you like you from Ghana. I think it's important that African diasporans and African Americans understand that Ghana and the African continent ain't for everybody. It ain't. Some of y'all ain't gonna make it, and that's okay. You can go back home. You tried it. It didn't work out for you, and that's okay. You can go back to where you came from. That's totally fine. But what is not totally fine is because you decided to go back for whatever reason, then you decide to act like it was all Ghanaians for the reason why you went back. Not to say it is because either it was something you did or did not do, which is what I said last week in my video. It's either something you did or did not do that caused it to not be the way you wanted it to be. You have to take some responsibility and accountability for your choices and for what you decided to do or not do. As African diasporans and African Americans, when you're coming over to Ghana, you have to know what you're getting yourself into. It is not something that it's a whole different culture. It's a whole different country. It's a whole different situation. And you can't keep saying it was the year of 2019 for the reason why you got there. No, you saw something in 2019 because you saw what people were posting. You saw the Dirty December. You saw the mansions. You saw these black celebrities. You saw all that you wanted to see, and you thought that it could be yours too. And you realized that it was not, because those people that were doing all that had money. And in order for you really to really survive in Ghana, you're going to have some money. You can't just go over there without any, barely any finances. You can't go over there looking for a job. Okay. There's barely any jobs for the people in Ghana, let alone people that's coming outside. Like, when you go to Ghana, you should be set. Okay, you should be going to Ghana to invest and retire, and maybe start a business just because you want to give back to the community or something, but not getting over there like you living in the United States of America. Absolutely not. Okay, unless you have some steady income coming in, it ain't gonna work out for you. So the Ghanaian people did not make this initiative, start the initiative, have anything to do with the initiative. It was the Ghanaian government that started this whole thing, and then they're the ones getting the brunt of the things that's going on. And it's just like, okay, well, hey, we didn't sign a paper saying anything that needed to be said. So, I mean, you pretty much got what you got. And it is what it is on that. So, I mean, you just have to be mindful coming over here to understand that it wasn't Ghanaians as a whole that said, yeah, come on home. It was the Ghanaian government. And as we know, it's African Americans and from America. The American government don't ask the people nothing most of the time. They make these decisions, and the people have to be the ones to deal with the decision that was made. And that's what the Ghanaians are having to do. The Ghanaian government is the one that did this whole initiative thing. And then the African diasporans are just thinking, oh, well, the Ghanaians knew about it. Well, they might have, but that didn't mean they had a say in whatever was going on or whatever. So, I mean, you have to keep that in mind as well, is that they asked nobody to come home. So, I mean, you coming over there, you better be ready for what they got to offer, because it is what it is. Ghana said it is what it is. And if you're not ready for it, you're not ready for it. And so, yeah, that's all that is on that. So that is all I have to say about that. Back to the basics. I am Mazelleغ. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.